We're going to go straight to a special
This is a
report.
CBS News special report. I'm Norah O'Donnell in Washington, and we are coming on the air with breaking news from the Supreme Court, where the justices have just ruled in the first case on abortion restrictions since Roe versus Wade was overturned nearly 2 years ago. Now, to set this up, this case centers around a commonly used abortion pill, Mifepristone, and the actions taken by the FDA when it approved the drug more than 2 decades ago. It also includes the FDA's more recent actions beginning in 2016 that made the medication easier to obtain. Let's get right to CBS News Chief Legal Correspondent Jan Crawford with the ruling. And Jan, tell us what we've learned.
I mean, this is a definitive statement from the Supreme Court, unanimous, 9-0, that the abortion pill will remain available throughout the United States. They have rejected an argument by anti-abortion doctors who said that the FDA's approval process of that drug, the most commonly used method of abortion, by the way, was flawed. And they reversed lower courts that agreed with those anti-abortion doctors. Now, this is not a ruling on the merits. This is not looking at if the FDA did jump through the right hoops. Instead, the court is looking at the issue of standing. That's an important jurisdictional issue to determine whether or not someone can even come into court in the first place. You know, you can disagree with a policy and you can complain about it in your house all the time, but you have to be harmed. You can't just go to the courts and sue for any reason. And today, in this unanimous decision written by Justice Kavanaugh, the justices said these anti-abortion doctors could not show that they had been harmed by the FDA's approval, that they didn't have to prescribe Mifepristone. They didn't have to treat patients who potentially could have been harmed by Mifepristone. So while this is not a ruling on the merits, it's a jurisdictional ruling, it's a threshold ruling that these doctors should have never been able to sue in the first place. It is highly significant nonetheless, because remember, 4 federal court judges had ruled that these doctors could sue. And they ruled that the doctors should win and that the FDA's approval process was flawed, which would greatly restrict and roll back some of the availability of women to get that abortion pill. So this ruling today, 9-0, a unanimous Supreme Court saying these doctors should have never brought that in the first place, and that's an important message to the lower courts. One more point why it's important, an important message to the lower courts to put the brakes on some of these kind of creative legal arguments to try to restrict abortion access or to change it in states that don't allow it.
And Norah, 63% of abortions in 2023 in this country were performed using these medications, these abortion pills, specifically Mifepristone, which is the one in question today. The story may not end here. There are 3 states who have already vowed to try to bring this up in the courts again, which is why your indication of what precedent there is. Missouri, Kansas, and Idaho have already said they're going to bring suit. So there is that hanging out there. You already have the state of Louisiana, which has listed these 2 drugs, the accompaniment to Mifepristone, as well as scheduled drugs, dangerous drugs. And you have states, 14 of them at least, including South Dakota, who have explicitly written legislation to ban telemedicine abortions. The governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, shortly after passing that bill, was on Face the Nation and said she was doing it to protect women, arguing this is unsafe. As we know, the FDA has, over many years, established that this is a safe medical procedure if performed through these through medical guidance, but doing it at a distance is one of the criticisms that has been here. And the Biden administration has already said if anyone tries to stop or intercept mailing across state lines, that they will take up suit.
A significant ruling today by the Supreme Court on reproductive rights, but it's an issue, as you point out, Jen, on standing. This would not prevent another case making its way through the courts where maybe a patient or a doctor who prescribes Mifepristone claims that there is harm, correct?
That is right. This is not on the merits, and Margaret makes excellent points that not only is this legal battle not over, but there are a number of other legal battles that we're seeing as people try to restrict access to abortion. Those 3 states, that's exactly right. They've said they're going to now sue and try to challenge the use of this abortion pill. But the Supreme Court they've already tried to get into this case. They filed papers trying to intervene in this case, and the Supreme Court said, get out of here. You can't come in now. And so I think there is a serious question of whether they would have standing, certainly based on the way this court is analyzing this issue today.
And it quite possibly, Norah, could be interpreted as a pushback to the approach this case had. They selectively went to a what they regarded as a conservative court in Amarillo, a federal court, where they thought they would get the most receptive hearing to this particular legal challenge. That's how this began. And that is a process that is now more common in this country. Litigants going to places that they believe will be most politically favorably inclined to the judicial questions they are asking. The Supreme Court, with this unanimous decision, is sending a signal that you may get into the system, but you will not get a hearing here at the Supreme Court that you think is as favorable, point one. Point two, the wider access was lifting requirements for in-person consultations to obtain these and getting them through the mail. That is part of the broader access that was challenged. That's now preserved, but it will be challenged by other states. One other interesting matter in this, in some of the scientific reporting presented to the Supreme Court, 2 of those scientific journal articles about whether Mifepristone was safe or not have since been retracted because of faulty scientific methodology behind them. So if you're going to go on harm, you better have better data than you presented to the court in this case, because that data no longer has validity scientifically.
Right, but this drug has been available for decades and has been largely deemed safe. Robert Costa, what is the effect politically as abortion rights, reproductive rights are certainly at top of mind? Democrats are trying to make it a big issue, and they have been successful in the past election since the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe versus Wade.
That's exactly right, Norah. When you step back, this is one chapter in an ongoing story over abortion rights and reproductive rights in this country. Just today, former President Donald Trump will be on Capitol Hill in solidarity with congressional Republicans, many of them who want to push on a federal level for more restrictions on abortion and reproductive rights. Then their allies in the states, as we've been detailing here in this conversation, they want to take more aggressive action, whether it's filing different cases or just pursuing legislation at the state level to restrict abortion rights. So this is a political war. Democrats do believe, as you say, that abortion rights, more than almost any other issue, including democracy, will galvanize their voters this November. At the same time, Republicans believe this really consolidates their own base when they talk about this issue, pushing for more restrictions.
I also want to bring in Jessica Levinson. She is our CBS News legal contributor and a professor at Loyola Law School. And Jessica, is this surprising since it's the first abortion ruling since Dobbs?
I love that question because people think this is a very conservative court. This is a case about abortion. And then they see this unanimous decision by Justice Kavanaugh. And the answer is it's not surprising for all of the reasons you've been talking about, that this case has to do with standing. And this is a court that's saying with a unanimous voice, we will not undermine our standing doctrine. And the first thing the court says here is don't walk into our doors unless you have an injury, unless it's caused by the government action that you're complaining of, and unless it can be remedied. And then Justice Kavanaugh really goes piece by piece, talking not about at all reproductive choice, not about Dobbs, that's not going to appear here, not about whether or not reproductive choice is a good policy issue, but all about, are these people who tried to come in and challenge Mifepristone, are they the right people to do so? And he over and over again, speaking for the whole court, says no. And that, I think, was predictable after oral arguments. And I think it's important for all of us to see that this case, in a way, has something to do with abortion, obviously, but in another way has everything to do with standing.
A very closely watched case. Jessica, thank you. I want to go back to Jan Crawford as we continue to get a number of these decisions from the Supreme Court. What are some of the big decisions that we're still waiting for as the Supreme Court has finished up its term?
Well, you know, I mean, they save the most controversial ones till the very end because they're the hardest to write. I mean, this one is unusual because it's unanimous. Normally, these are the divisive opinions that take a while. And so we've got a little under 30 left, and there's some of the most consequential issues that are facing American life. I mean, there's another abortion case. There are 2 gun control cases. There's an environmental case. There's a case about free speech and social media. I mean, these are
and then
major
the Trump
issues.
case.
And then I was about to say,
Not to mention the Trump case.
And then if that weren't enough, if that weren't enough, 2 cases involving former President Trump and whether or not he can be prosecuted for his efforts around January 6th and attempts to interfere with the 2020 presidential election. And if he can, then what can he be charged with? I mean, these, again, major issues. We also have cases that look at the structure of government, the role of federal agencies, and how they can and cannot, step in and do things when Congress fails to act. So, I mean, this is always crazy in June. If you cover the Supreme Court, it's just, we don't plan to see anybody for a while in June. But this one is unusual because we do have so many significant cases, and they're all coming in the next 3.5 weeks.
Well, thanks to all of you for your expert reporting and analysis. We're going to be here a lot, and so stay tuned, everybody. And not just for the Supreme Court, but it's going to be a busy summer, of course, with the debates and the conventions and so much ahead in this election year. So thank you very much, everybody. Once again, breaking news from the Supreme Court. The justices ruled to maintain the widely used abortion pill, Mifepristone. Our coverage will continue on CBS News 24/7, your local news, and then tonight we will have a full wrap-up and analysis on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Norah O'Donnell.